Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen, and my guest today is Barbara, and I'm going to wreck this. Farfan? I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your name.
Farfan.
Farfan. Okay. Got it. Barbara Farfan. And Barbara actually has a lot of very interesting professions, I guess. And so I'm going to ask her to tell us a little bit about herself and, why she was interested in coming on the podcast, because they may not seem like they go together.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Good to meet you. Thanks for having me. And my name is Barbara Farfan. I'm obviously in your demographic for your podcast, over 50. So that obviously interested me. Yeah. So I do have a kind of an abnormal lifestyle. I'm an international pet sitter. And what that means is I travel all over the world and take care of people's pets. So I am a 100% full-time traveler. I don't have a home, so to speak. I go to where the next pet sit is with the next pets. And so that kind of lays the background for why I found myself on your show, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that kind of is more of a lifestyle than it is a job. I mean, certainly, there's work involved with it, but it's just really how I live and move through the world. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming that part of what your problem was that got you into the health and wellness field, I guess we want to call it that, is because when you do this, you have to sleep on other people's beds, and some are better than others, particularly as one gets older.
Right. Well, you definitely have to be able to go with the flow for sure. Yeah. So I think that definitely is a factor. I've always been, a very active person, a very natural health oriented type of a person. So I approach life that way, try to look at things very holistically, very much into prevention as part of a lifestyle as well. Not a practitioner of anything. So I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a whatever, I'm none of that. But I do believe that I am in charge of my own health. And so I take responsibility for that. And over the years, I've just really learned what I want to know about that, about taking charge of that. Consequently, I'm, over 50, and it has been about my entire adult life, and I've never had a prescription drug. I've never needed to do a lot of the things that people do on a regular basis as far as health goes, because I'm so focused on the prevention of it and the holistic, healthy lifestyle. So, it's my avocation, not my vocation, in the natural health. Just a way of living.
Yep. Okay. So tell us how you got into the whole area with your sciatica, because that seems to be your latest project.
It's my latest project. Well, I was international pet sitting, and generally I am booked about 1 or 2 years in advance.
Wow.
So then the global pandemic hit. And my 1.5 years worth of calendared, scheduled travel and places that I was going to be disappeared within 1 week. All of it was gone. So I had to figure out where I wanted to be, because I literally don't have anywhere to be if I don't have anywhere to pet sit. So I came up with a really temporary plan to go down to Mexico, because I pet sit down there a lot, and I found a small town in Mexico. And I thought, it'll just be a little short time, maybe a month, and I'll just hang out here great, next to the beach, no problem. And so I'm in this small town in Mexico, don't know anybody. It is like apocalypse. There's nobody in the streets. There's nothing open. It was just, it's freaky and spooky and
Oh, I
weird.
bet.
And
Yeah.
and I'm in and by myself in an Airbnb in a place I've never been before.
Oh,
And the borders were closed, the planes were grounded. Couldn't have left there if I wanted to. I mean, there just was
hmm.
no, it was it. I was stuck there. So hoping that I made a good choice. And so I
Yeah.
woke up about 2 or 3 weeks into that lockdown, and I was in the worst pain of my life, out of the blue, for no reason that I knew. And I could not understand what it was. I didn't know how to get rid of it. I didn't know what
Mm.
to do about it. And here I am. I barely spoke the language. I had no medical resources. A very small town in Mexico.
Oh my
And all of
God.
the little bit of medical resources were all focused on COVID. And I didn't really want to go to a COVID hospital. Not that I would go to a hospital
Yep.
anyway. It's not my first go-to strategy, but
Not
I
there,
certainly wasn't
especially.
going to
Yeah.
go there at that time with that going on. And so I literally had to just figure it out. I had to figure out what
Yeah.
it was, and then I had to figure out what to do about it, and figure out what to do about it with little or no resources available to me. So it was
Hmm. Hmm.
a lot of home remedies, strategy,
Yeah.
natural, what am I going to do or try next kind of thing. And I think I probably tried just about everything imaginable to get ahead of this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in the end, did end up putting together, kind of cobbling, in retrospect, I kind of cobbled together a little plan, a little home remedy, natural treatment plan that
Uh-huh.
actually worked, and got rid of my sciatica within 3 or 4 months. And it's been almost 3 years now. So, and it hasn't come back.
Wow. Wow.
So it was kind of really effective. So
Sounds
not
like
kind
it.
of really effective. It
Yeah,
was
it
really
was. Yeah.
didn't know it would be, and I didn't
Uh-huh.
really, I was feeling my way along the whole process, but it ended up being great. And it ended up being, people are like, oh, that's so harrowing. It was harrowing. It actually was quite
Yeah.
scary to be in a place where you had no resources and no connections and no nothing.
Right.
And you had to figure something out. It is the greatest pain of your lifetime. And not knowing if you're ever going to get rid of it's a scary thing. But it ended up being a very empowering thing, because I figure if I can get through that under those circumstances, I fear nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
life is manageable now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So how long did it take you to go to find the process that you ended up with, and to actually get over it, if you want to call it that, get back
Yeah, it was
standing up
about,
straight and all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, getting rid of all of the symptoms, like
Hmm.
completely all of the sciatica symptoms, was about
Hmm.
close to 4 months.
Okay.
And had to start researching it immediately, because I didn't have any other choice. I didn't have
Yeah.
anywhere to go, or what. I didn't,
Hmm.
nobody was working. No
Yeah.
offices were open. No professionals were practicing. So I really had to start from the beginning. And and I tell people that, every waking hour I was doing research with Dr. Google, trying to figure out what was going on. And consequently, every waking hour was every hour, because I didn't sleep for days and weeks. It was
Oh my
just so
God.
much pain. Yeah. So I was from the beginning doing
Yeah.
research. And that's not really the best time to be doing research, but necessity,
No.
mother of
No.
invention.
And when you're in pain, because your brain doesn't like doing anything but concentrating on the pain.
Right, right. It actually probably was good that I was focused on something else besides just, oh my God, I might die here. Well, it's interesting that the UK National Health Service made a list of the 20 most painful conditions that anyone will ever experience in their lifetime. And
Uh-huh.
on that list is sciatica. And
Wow.
it's with childbirth, it's with shingles, it's with all of those most extreme painful things that you can imagine,
Uh-huh.
cluster
Uh-huh.
migraines, all of those things. and sciatica is right there on that list. So it's not a small deal. It's a big deal. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so having some strategies like beforehand, or knowing that you have a resource, or being able to easily find a resource is an important thing. And also, Harvard Health says that 40% of adults will experience sciatica. 40% of
Wow.
adults. That is a lot. And so
That
it's,
is.
it's not just people over 50. Pregnant women very often get sciatica,
That makes
and
sense.
yeah, and people that have a really, people are funny because they think that like athletes would get back pain and sciatica, and it's true, they do, or skiers, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of the time it's sedentary people who sit in offices in bad chairs all day have or have some kind of repetitive movement going on as part of their job. They're the ones that get sciatica. And so it's very pervasive. It's a bigger deal than I ever realized it was.
Well, I don't think most people realize how complicated our backs are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like your arm, you got a couple of bones and there's lots of muscles and stuff, but the back it's almost like a brain of its own.
Exactly.
And there's just, there's so many structural things, and there's so many nerves, and there's so much to go wrong.
Right. And, it's interesting about the back as well, is that you could have a pain in one place, but it's not really the cause of the pain. So if you address where the pain is, you're not always addressing the underlying cause of the pain. So it's very integrated and systemic. The sciatic nerve is the largest nerve in your body. And there's one in each one of your legs that goes straight from the hip all the way down to the bottom of your foot. And so why it's a big deal for you to get sciatica. And this is one thing that people don't understand what sciatica is. They don't understand what sciatica is. Sciatica is not a disease, and sciatica is not a condition. It's not like a headache. You can't take a pill and then it goes away. That's not what sciatica is. Sciatica is a damaged nerve. It's an inflamed nerve. And it got that way because of something that pinched it or compressed it or damaged it, squished it, irritated it. That was the cause. That damaged the nerve. The nerve gets inflamed, and the inflammation causes the pain. So when people immediately go and try to get rid of the pain of sciatica, that's backwards. You can't do that. It doesn't work because that's not what it is. So it's the nerve, and you have to think about the nerve going from all the way down it's huge. It's a huge nerve. And so nerve pain, imagine going to the dentist and you get one little nerve, that you're not
and you
moving,
jump
and
out
and you think you're going to die. Well, imagine that, 100 times bigger is what goes down your leg. And when that gets damaged, it's painful, but not addressing it in the right order from the right direction doesn't work. And that's why so many people have chronic sciatica. It never, ever goes away because they never really ever got rid of the cause of it. They just keep trying to make the pain go away. Well, you got to get rid of why. So one of the things I tell people, I said, think of it like this. You're in your garage or you're in your driveway and a car runs over your foot. The first thing you do is not to yell inside the house and tell somebody to get you an Advil. The first thing you do is get the car off your foot. And so it's the same way with sciatica. You get the sciatica pain. If you go immediately try to get rid of the pain, well, the car's still on your foot. The thing that caused this pain is still pinching and compressing and damaging and squishing that nerve. So you got to get rid of that first. But then if you get rid of that, the pain doesn't go away immediately because it has damaged the nerve. And if you don't heal the nerve, the pain will never go away. And that's where people get stuck. They don't have the understanding. They're approaching it from the wrong direction. And then at some point they just say, well, I guess I'm just going to have to live with this forever. And that makes me nuts. I'm like, no, don't accept that. It's not an acceptable lifestyle. It is horrible pain and you don't have to be in it.
Yeah. No, and that makes perfect sense. All of it, including other people's reactions.
Right.
You know, as human beings, we're real good at going, oh yeah, well, I did such and such, so I deserve this, and I'll just live with it the rest of my life. And,
Yeah. No, I can't, honestly, I cannot. I cannot. It took me like maybe 2 months to get the pain to what I would consider to be a manageable level. And a manageable
Okay.
level means at least I could sleep a little bit.
Yeah.
But staying at that level, unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It is not a way to live. And
Yeah.
and there are solutions. And for me, this is just me. I never ever stop until I find the solutions. Because even if the person in front of me, maybe I'm consulting with somebody and they say, well, that's never going to work or that'll never, I'm like, okay, well, I respect that you don't know the answer, but that doesn't mean nobody in the world has an answer or no resource has an answer. I
Yeah.
can't do research and find an answer. I never ever stop because it's not acceptable. And that pain is not acceptable. So if anybody that's watching this has had chronic sciatica pain, first of all, I feel your pain. It is horrible, but don't stop looking and don't just think that pain pills are the only answer, because I took none. And I took one and it gave me a horrible rash.
Oh,
Horrible rash. And I was like, oh my God, I never do this. Why did I do this? But anyway, and yeah. And so, and I have none. I have no symptoms. I have no pain. I have nothing. So there is a way. There's always a way. For me.
Yeah. So you developed your way of successfully getting over this. And are there things that you now do to make sure it doesn't come back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I've always been big into yoga and big into activity. And the thing about sciatica is inactivity is not your friend. It seems like you don't want to get out and do anything ever again. You don't want to move ever again. But that even and anywhere in your back, inactivity is not your friend. So yeah, so for me, it's the holistic lifestyle always. And for me, if you think about the holistic lifestyle, this is what I think. I think there's only two conditions in the world. We have lots of names for lots of diseases, but to me, there's only two. There's balance and there's imbalance. And if you're out of balance in some way, you've got to get yourself back into balance. And so that's always been my philosophy. That was my philosophy when I was looking for solutions for sciatica, is what is going to bring this back into balance, because it's not. And what is out of balance? Like not really even understanding myself what was out of balance. I didn't know that sciatic nerves got inflamed, and I didn't know that anti-inflammatory strategies would work to unflame them. I didn't know that sciatic nerves got adhesions and scar tissue, and I didn't know that there were sciatica specialists who knew that could get rid of those adhesions and scar tissues, which would help to reduce the inflammation, which would help to get rid of the pain. So all these things I kind of learned along the way. And and in retrospect, what it was it's just, in my research, it was just like a lot of random one-off, try this, do that, try this, do that, try this, do that, but nobody had a plan. And so, when I was on the other side of it and really had gotten rid of all the symptoms, I kind of looked back at it and I said, oh my gosh, this is really actually a very logical sequence. I veered off the path several times because I didn't know what the path was. But when I look back at what worked was very logical. And what worked was very logically sequenced with the condition of sciatica itself. So if you understand what it is, and you understand what you got to work on first before you can get to the thing that's second, before you can get the thing that's third, before you can get rid of the thing that's last. And the very last thing is getting rid of all of the symptoms. Don't start with getting rid of the symptoms. That doesn't work.
Okay. Well, no. Yeah. Well, by definition, if it's a symptom, there's something else going on.
Right.
The symptoms you can never get rid of a symptom until you get rid of the cause.
Right. And a lot of people think that the pain is the sciatica.
Right.
That ain't it.
Yep.
The sciatica is the inflammation of the nerve caused by the
Okay.
swelling and irritation and injury,
Uh-huh.
whatever. The
Uh-huh.
pain is just the outcome. It's like the last
Yeah.
thing. So get rid of all the things that happened before the pain started, and that's how the pain goes away for good. If you want, the pain to be
Oh,
there
okay.
forever and till the next time you take the next pill, then you'll go
Yeah.
after the pain. But if you just don't want to deal with it, you don't want it part of your life,
Right.
then it's a different process. I actually, when I went back and looked at what had worked and how
Uh-huh.
logical it was, I
Uh-huh.
came up with something that I call the sciatica triage. And
Okay.
each letter actually stands for something that I did. And
Uh-huh.
again, very unwittingly, I had no plan, I had no roadmap, I just fell upon it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But it led me by what worked and what would work next. So yeah, and I have actually a website now and a free download that gives you that kind of step-by-step logical path plan that I followed. So anybody
Okay.
can go there to get that as well.
Oh, good. Good. Well, I'll put that in the show notes. People can
Great.
find your website and get your download.
Good.
So
It's
that would be
Sciatica
great.
Stop is the website.
Say that again, because we were in between the
Oh, sorry.
E and you, then you. Yeah.
It's sciaticapainstop.com is the website.
Ah, okay. Okay. That's probably easy to remember, as long as people know how to spell sciatica.
Sciatica. I think if you have it, you know how to spell it.
That's probably true. That's probably true. Yeah.
Because you've been researching it. You've been Googling it.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah. Let's hope they're not just going to their doctor and getting pain pills.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll only work temporarily. It won't work for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different practitioners that do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Again, looking at everything from a holistic perspective
Mm-hmm.
that can positively impact sciatica. And anybody in any kind of modality, so it might be massage, or it might be chiropractic, or it might be osteopathic, or it might be Feldenkrais, it might be Rolfing, it might be, there's so many, many, many different things.
Yeah. Yep.
If they've had experience and have helped people with sciatica, you can consider them almost to be like a sciatica specialist, because they know, here's how my thing that I do can help you with sciatica. And I had to try a lot of those things to figure out which one was going to help me. And all helped a little bit. Some of them helped me more than others. And for me, I don't think that there is maybe a tried and true, do this
like one process.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
one process.
It really has, when you're talking about natural health and natural treatment, I think it has a lot to do with your own mindset and belief system and mind over matter. And if you really strongly believe something's not going to work, it's not going to work. And if you have a positive attitude towards whatever it is that you're doing, then it has a chance to work. So I think everybody's got to find out what they can resonate with and then go that direction as far as, certain steps in the process. But moving the steps in order is really the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, especially because it's not like the sciatica nerve is just one little tiny thing. And so, there's only one way.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many different places where I think, I'm not an expert like you are, but I would think that there's a lot of places along the nerve where you can damage it.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of it could have to, what makes it get better is partly dependent on where along the nerve you've damaged it.
Yeah, and the damage is not like directly like you hit your hand with a hammer and then you break a bone. It's not exactly like that. It is the nerve in and of itself, when it gets compressed by, maybe it's like two vertebrae, or maybe it's, in my case, it was actually, I was in an Airbnb. It was a brand new Airbnb with a brand new mattress that was hard as a slab of marble.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
the hardest mattress I've ever slept on in my life. Now, over time, that'll get softer. So, but I just happened to be like the first one to ever sleep on this
Lucky
mattress.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like sleeping on concrete. So, so that was it for me. That was like the offending thing that made something
Uh-huh.
move out of
Mm,
position and
mm.
really just jam in on that sciatic nerve. And
Wow.
never had anything like that before. But like Harvard Health says, 90% of sciatica can and will go away without surgery or any kind of drastic medical intervention. And I think
Okay.
that's really important for people to realize, because, sometimes people don't have natural remedies as their go-to first strategy. But in the case of sciatica, it's what works for 90% of the people. So it
Right.
is the go-to strategy. It is the first thing,
Yeah.
but it won't work. It won't happen by itself. And it takes a lot longer if you do things in the wrong order and you focus
Mm.
on the wrong things. So
Okay.
you don't really want
Okay.
to work against yourself when it comes to like your body's immunity.
Yeah. Well, and the last thing you want to do is have surgery for anything that you can heal, without doing the surgery, because surgery can bring on all kinds of other issues
Yeah,
that
especially when
you
you're
that
talking
you didn't
about
have.
back
Yes.
surgery has a potential
Yes.
for affecting a lot of things. So if you
Yeah.
can possibly avoid it, which is not to say nobody ever has it, and they
No,
do.
no.
And it's
Yeah.
not to say that sciatica sometimes doesn't need medical intervention.
That's right. That's right.
When you get my download, there's like a whole list of if you're experiencing these things, you really do need to get some medical attention because it's beyond just
Beyond.
regular sciatica and it needs some attention.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
but that's about 10%, and the other 90% are doing it without any kind of medical intervention. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. So it sounds like whatever those things are, it's not like they're real difficult to do. You just have to find out about it.
Right. Well, so if we go through like with the what is the word I'm trying to think of? The acronym triage. So each
Oh
letter
yeah.
stands for
Okay.
something. So and triage is a word, I kind of like the word triage because it's a word that's used for emergency situations. So there's an emergency
Yes,
and
exactly.
it helps the people that are working the emergency to prioritize what
That's
has
right.
to go
Yep.
first.
That's right.
What's the most important thing? And so that's why I liked it. And it just happened
Yeah.
to work with the process that I did. Again, I just fell into it. I'm not
Uh-huh.
a trained professional that created anything official. So this is just me,
Uh-huh.
sciatic person who doesn't have it anymore. But so the T stands for think. And that basically I had to ask myself, do I know what's causing this? And is this thing I'm considering doing going to hurt me worse? And if I didn't know the answer to either one of those questions, I didn't do whatever it was I thought I was going to do until I knew the answer to those questions. So
Okay.
it's so super important to not just willy-nilly do whatever
Yes.
and hurt yourself more. It is really a bad pain and you don't want more of it. You don't want to cause any more damage that will cause more of it or cause it to slip around.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to know what you're dealing with first, and
Hmm.
don't do anything unless you know what the long-term effect of it is. The R stands for relieve, and most people think that means you need to relieve the pain, and I say you need to relieve the cause of the pain. The car on the foot, get the car off the foot. That's your first order of business, and nothing else will work unless you do that. Can you imagine standing in your driveway with your car on your foot and never thinking to remove the car off your foot? And
No.
that's when people don't even think about, oh, maybe I should find out what's making this compression on this nerve that's making it scream. So that's what the relief is. The I is for interrupt. And that does have to do with the pain. At some point, you've got to interrupt those pain signals because they are intense. And when they're pounding 24/7, then
Oh
there
God.
is something for that. That's when most
Yeah.
people go for the drugs. I had a couple of different things that I used that
Hmm.
actually worked for me, but there's
Hmm.
tons of things to choose from that could help. Hypnosis and
Oh.
acupuncture and EFT and there was this one really great video. And again, if you go on my website, you can find this free on YouTube. Bless this man for putting this video on here. And he calls it the I got to think a minute, the nerve neutral position. And
Oh,
he is an osteopath, and
okay.
he talks about you have to find the position that you can be in where you're putting zero pressure on that nerve. And he tells
Okay.
you how to find it and how to adjust until you find it. And bless him, bless him, bless him. Because I found that video and because I did that, I got the first sleep that I had had in like 2 weeks.
Oh, I
And so
bet.
that's a really, really great resource. And so you can find that on the website. But that's, to me, interrupting the pain. I don't
Yeah.
want to be personally taking the drugs that are going to then cause
Oh, no,
more
I agree.
effects that I then
Right.
have to deal with after the
That
sciatica.
absolutely, absolutely. Then you got to get off of them.
Yes, exactly. So that's not me. So that's not my first order business. And if somebody's had chronic sciatica pain, I'll tell you what,
Mhm.
I took that one generic Mexican
Uh-huh.
painkiller. Goodness knows what was in it that caused my entire left side of
Yeah.
my body to break out in this horrible rash immediately, like immediately. But it didn't even work. It didn't even make any of the pain go away. So, and a lot of people tell me that I'm on this prescription. I've been on this for a year.
Oh my
I tried
God.
this stronger thing and it still doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's just
But they keep
that.
taking it?
I'm sorry,
They keep taking them
because
even though
they
it
don't,
doesn't work?
well, they're not really knowing that there
Okay.
are other strategies. I
Okay.
mean, if you're
Okay.
oriented to, you know,
Oh
have
yeah,
a
no, I
condition.
understand. No, I get that, but it's kind of like, I mean, if it's not working, why are you even spending the money? Because you're still paying for the prescription and all that, even if, you know.
Yeah,
So, anyways,
that's
sorry,
why I tell people keep looking for
interjecting my own
no, I get it. That's
my own
me.
values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, keep
Um,
going.
Okay, so the A is for anesthetize. And again, people
Okay.
sometimes think they need to anesthetize with drugs, but I think there's other ways to do that. And the very simplest way for me that worked was a good old fashioned ace bandage and ice packs. And it's
Yeah.
temporary relief, but it's enough relief that you can just like think, relax, sleep, all those things that you need to
Mm-hmm.
do to escape that pain. And it's so simple and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have any after effects. So I use that a lot and it worked for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's a couple other things that you can do. There's some natural pain relievers and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the G stands for guidance. At some
Mm-hmm.
point, I felt like I had handled it to a point where I was about 80% over it. But there was 20% that was still not going to be acceptable to me. I mean, that really would have diminished my lifestyle, my full-time travel, walk pets every day lifestyle. I can't be hobbling around with sciatica symptoms. And so that's the point where I really went to get like a specialist, somebody that knew. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say specialist, I just mean it was a practitioner. She was like a combo chiropractor, massage therapist, something
Uh-huh.
else. I don't know
Yeah.
he did a lot of things, but
Uh-huh.
she's the one that knew about the adhesions on the sciatic nerve and she
Okay.
got rid of them and she was it at the end. She's the one I credit for helping me to get rid of that last
Mm-hmm.
20%. So so I think at some point for me, it worked for me to go to somebody that knew
Yeah.
sciatica and she knew something that
Mm-hmm.
would help. And it really
Mm-hmm.
did. And it was great. And then the E is extinguish. And I think this is like one of the most misunderstood and overlooked things with sciatica. And that is, it is inflammation. That is what's causing the pain, inflammation. And we all kind of have heard that word inflammation with arthritis, inflammation with
Right.
different conditions. There's like 100 autoimmune conditions that are related to inflammation.
Okay. That makes
So
sense. Yeah.
this is not something I made up. Inflammation
No.
is a big deal. And
Yeah.
there's like the National Institute of Health said 50% of all deaths are with conditions that are related to inflammation. Like
Yeah.
you didn't get rid of the inflammation, so therefore the condition didn't go away. And guess what? You died from it. So
Yeah.
the inflammation is like a really big first cause. So that was really key for me to get me even to that 80% is to realize that's what
Mm-hmm.
it was and do the things to get rid of the inflammation, not
Yeah.
just for the sciatic nerve, but like my whole
Yeah.
body. It's very systemic.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so all natural for me, it was all natural. It was diet, it was supplements, it was taking a lot of it was what you have to take out. stop doing
Oh,
that.
yes.
Like people get in pain and then they want to eat comfort food, which is all inflammatory. It's
Yeah.
horrible. It's like the absolute opposite of what you need to be doing in order for your
Uh-huh.
body to be able to heal your condition.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so extinguishing the inflammation, that was huge for me. It got me a very far way with it. And the thing that I was written up in the national magazine for
Uh-huh.
was, and I didn't invent this, but a certain kind of vitamin C, which is called liposomal vitamin C, and that's
Uh-huh.
not a brand name. It's
Yes.
just
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. Yeah. There's a
form of.
lot of different, yeah, that's not just vitamin C. It's for a lot of different vitamins and it's, yeah,
Well,
you can
no,
get that.
it is solely for vitamin. It is solely vitamin C, but the way that it's
No, no, the
prepared,
one, what I'm saying is the one you took was, but
liposomal
they,
is just vitamin C,
okay.
but it's
Because I've seen
prepared.
that used with other vitamins
Well, I mean,
as well.
yeah, I'm sure that there's
That's what I'm
companies that
saying. It's the
making it that are adding other
yeah,
things, but I
yeah.
made my own.
Uh-huh.
I was in
Yeah.
the middle of a pandemic. There was not a vitamin C supplement to
Yeah, I
be had.
bet.
There
Yeah.
was not. It didn't exist. And
Uh-huh.
you think it didn't exist in the States? How about in Mexico, where they didn't even have Amazon Mexico at the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, and none of the stores are up, but I was able to find this. It's the most bioavailable
Uh-huh.
form of vitamin C. And again, it's not a brand name. It is the form of
Right.
it. It
No, no, no,
is
exactly. Yeah.
encapsulated vitamin C that makes it
Mm-hmm.
bioavailable to the body. And I was like, all right, if that's the way it's bioavailable, that's what I have to do. And I found out how to make it myself at home for myself. And I still to this
Great.
day, 3
Uh-huh.
years later, take
Yeah.
liposomal vitamin C every single day because it is powerhouse anti-inflammatory. And and that's what I got written up in the magazine for. And there's studies that are going on right
Ah.
now about the connection between sciatica and vitamin C, not
Ah,
specifically the liposomal,
interesting.
but the
Uh-huh.
liposomal form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah. No, that's great. Wow.
Yeah. So the combination of those things, it really,
Mm-hmm.
again, I didn't have a plan. There was no plan for me to find that I could find with Dr.
Yeah.
Google. I found pieces and I tried things, and there's some things that didn't work. And I put that into, my website as well.
Uh-huh.
Because I think that's really important for people to know, at least question some things that didn't work and that
Uh-huh.
wouldn't work. And some
Okay.
things like, for instance, there are some doctors that don't understand what sciatica is that will prescribe muscle relaxers. There's
Oh,
not a chance in the world that a muscle relaxer is going to have a positive effect on sciatica. It has nothing to do with
do with
muscles.
nerves. Yeah, it has
Nothing.
nothing to do with nerves. Yeah.
Nothing. Unless you damage or injured yourself in some other way and you
Yeah.
damage a muscle, there's nothing about it. It doesn't work. It's got horrible side effects. So, there's certain things that I would never do. And I hope other people would question for themselves. But in the end,
Yeah.
that was my triage thing: think, relieve, interrupt, anesthetize, guidance, and extinguish. And it worked. And if I got the symptoms of sciatica back again, God forbid, I just would never want that again. But if it
Yeah.
happened, that's exactly what I would do again. Exactly
Uh-huh.
those things in exactly that order because they worked.
Well, obviously, if it did come back again, you can get rid of it faster because you don't have to go through all the before stuff. You can just dive right into your prescription.
Right. Into the plan.
That's right.
The
Exactly.
layperson, the
Yeah.
layperson plan.
The layperson plan. Exactly. Exactly. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. It's very clear and, I think it's should be relatively easy for people to do for themselves.
Well, I think that the thing is, it's a lot of it is a mindset and how you approach, your health
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I say it was horrible to go through, but in the end, it was massively empowering to
Oh, yeah.
know
Yeah.
that you can be faced with something that is so huge. It's huge. I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
the greatest pain of your lifetime. It's just horrible. And so, and to know that it was able to be treated and I was able to get rid of not some of the symptoms, but all of the symptoms and not have them come back. When I talk to people every day that have been struggling with sciatica for years and have just accepted it as part of their life.
Yeah.
That it's very empowering to me that it was possible to find what needed to happen and to enact it in a time when it wasn't easy to enact. I feel like if I could do it during the pandemic, most people can do it during regular circumstances.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. Well, I think the lifesaver for you as well was the internet.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's my lifeline, in my whole total lifestyle it's what keeps me connected and yeah. I know there's lots of people who don't know what the world was like without the internet, but it was a different world. And
it was. It totally was. Yes.
Yeah. I am grateful for it every single day. Even when I'm cursing Google, I'm still grateful for it.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? It's like everything in existence or ever been in existence. There's good sides to it and there's not so good sides to it.
Right, for sure.
And in order to live with the good sides, sometimes you have to put up with some of the bad side.
Right.
But
hey,
it is what it is.
You reminded me of something that is like a tip. It's a life hack.
Okay.
This is a Google search hack. So when you are researching about a medical condition, a health condition, if you just type in what it is, so I just typed in sciatica, I get a whole lot of articles that are almost basically all the same, telling me what it is, what the symptoms are, what the common treatments are, and how long it's going to last, and that and that you're probably never even going to get rid of it completely, and it just is like regurgitated pages and pages of the same stuff. So here's the hack. The hack is don't just type in the condition, type in cure, type in remedy, type in natural healing.
What you want, where you want to be, not where you are.
Exactly. Type in what you want, and it gives you a whole different set of. So don't type what you have. Type what you want to have, and what you want to have is healing, and what you want to have is solution, and what you want to have, if you're into the natural thing, which I was, you want to have natural home remedy. You want. So type that, search it, and it gives you a whole different set of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to try that.
First. Yeah. Go to my website first, though.
Exactly. Exactly. So say what your website is again.
It's sciaticapainstop.com.
Okay.
And the download specifically is sciaticapainstop.com/book, or books with an S. Sorry, books with an S.
Okay. Well, that's easy. And it should be on the front. I'm assuming it's on the front landing page of your website. So
it will be by the time you post the podcast.
Okay, it's a deal.
I can make it so.
Yes, exactly. Make it really easy for people to find.
Great. Yep. Yeah. Perfect. I think it'll pop up on your screen whether you want it to or not anyway. So.
There you go. Okay. Well, that was it. That's even better. Better. Okay.
I think it's better. I don't know if other people will think it's better.
If they're looking for it, they'll probably think it's better. If they're just interested in the overall, they're going to go, oh, God, okay, and just click it and it'll go away.
Right. I think if nothing else, that there's information on the website that I found was, and again, I didn't create any of this stuff. I didn't make it up. I'm not the researcher. I'm not the practitioner. I'm not the anybody. This is just what I discovered along the way that was helpful to me. So that's why I threw it all up on a website. So, but what it did, the things that I put up there were things that helped me think about it and view it a different way than the normal, protocol, which is a lot of no protocol at all. So it's a lot of live with it, deal with it, and that's not acceptable. But so, if even if somebody goes there and they don't end up doing most of the stuff that's on there, at least they have a thought that there is more possibilities than
Mm-hmm.
whatever they've been doing that hasn't worked. If they've tried,
Mm-hmm.
if you're just like, if you're just getting sciatica right now and you haven't tried anything yet, then there's definitely solutions there for you. And
Yeah.
I would say try it because
Yeah.
it worked for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, when you have something that's that painful, it's always worth it to try something that works for somebody else.
Right. Yep. 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 Yeah. And
Oh,
don't accept it. Don't.
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
can't even imagine. I cannot imagine living with that pain or any portion of it.
No.
It
Right.
was just it was too horrible. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have empathy for anybody that's watching this that has had sciatica, does have sciatica, has been
Right.
struggling with it for years. It is
Yeah.
bad. It sucks.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
frankly,
Yeah. This is a bad thing. A
it's a
very
bad thing.
bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Well, on that wonderful note.
On that positive note, sciatica sucks.
Okay. Well,
There's an
thank you so
answer. How
much.
about that? That's the positive
There you
end.
go.
There's
There
an
you go.
answer. There's a
So
way.
thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who at some point here will also be very appreciative of hearing about your I was going to say trip, but that's probably not a good word to use.
My adventure with
Your
sciatica.
adventures. That's right. Exactly. In conquering sciatica.
Exactly.
Yes.
Adventuring, conquering it for sure.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I'm really glad that I was able to bring you to the world here, even though it's not, I said it's a little piece of the world. But anyways, well, if nothing else, when people start Googling sciatica now, they'll find the podcast, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's
Yeah,
great. Same thing with
I'll
that
make sure I
other.
put it in the title of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what
Sciatica,
was
no
so,
more. Okay.
right. That was so great about that national magazine is they
Yeah.
have some oomph and they get up in Google search and putting
Yeah.
those two things together, sciatica with vitamin C, very powerful because it's not something that is well known or well practiced or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's being researched and there's some research
Oh,
studies
good.
out about it already.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
yay to them
Good.
for putting that out as a new thought. It's all a new
Yeah.
thought. You
That's
just
right.
go find the new ideas
Yeah.
and the new answers until you find one that works for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So at that point, we are going to say that neither of us are doctors, and this is not to be seen as quote unquote medical advice. And other than that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. And I will see everybody next week.
Thank you so much.